Richard Brooke here, Alyssa Francis. We're on the island of Lanai. So over the last 3.5 years, we have interviewed over 80 network marketing superstars, people that have crushed the 4-year career in one form or the other. And you're going to get an example of listening to Alyssa's numbers for her 5.5-year career, right?
Yes.
First time in network marketing, 5.5 years with her company, and we'll get to see what that kind of career looks like. So I always like to tell people up front that on these hero calls, we are interviewing extraordinary people. So you do want to try this at home, but don't expect the same results that the people that we're interviewing on the hero call have gotten so far in their business, because we are interviewing absolutely extraordinary people. And we're not interviewing these people to suggest that you will accomplish what they have accomplished, but we're interviewing them to suggest that whatever you want to do, maybe you want to make $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month, just to set yourself up for retirement or pay off your debts or create some better, vacation opportunities for your family, like Alyssa has done with her family here at the Four Seasons in Lanai. Whatever it is you want to do, our intent here is to introduce you to people that have done so well with their 4-year career that it will allow you to establish some belief that you can do whatever you want to do. So if Alyssa can build a team of 100,000 people,
yep,
100,000 people in 5.5 years, well, we think that you could probably build a team of 1,000 in 5.5 years.
Absolutely.
Which would provide you with an extraordinary part-time income. So that's the purpose of the hero call interviews, not to suggest that you will duplicate what any of these people have done, but whatever it is you want to do, we certainly know that it's possible. So we're going to go for about an hour this morning, and Alyssa's going to tell us some fabulous stories in response to my questions. And what we know you will get from it is just another extraordinary level of belief about what's possible in network marketing for you. So Alyssa, tell us your story before. So she's a Young Living sales leader. That's an essential oils and nutrition company based in Utah. Before you got involved in Young Living, tell us about your life. Who were you? What were you doing for a living, if anything? Where were you living?
Sure.
What's the background?
Well, first, I'm honored to be here, and it's just amazing to be here in Lanai in your home for this live hero call. So thank you for having me.
Sure.
So before network marketing, I swore I would never get into this business.
You and
yes,
10 million other people.
I'm sure you've heard that many times. I actually spent part of my childhood here in Hawaii on the island of Maui.
Right.
Met my husband when I was a single mom living in Southern California. And at the time when I was introduced to my company, I was actually living, and I still do, I live in North Texas with my family. And I had been a stay-at-home mom and a little bit of an entrepreneur for a few years. I had my own blog.
Wow.
I was teaching people how to save money using coupons at the drugstore.
Of course you were.
Which is nothing like my life today. There's been a complete transformation in that area in more ways than one, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I enjoyed, contributing to my family income. At the time when I was introduced to my company, my husband was traveling a lot for his career. Almost every single week he was gone, and I was home with my 3 children, homeschooling part-time. And yeah, I missed my husband a lot.
What was he doing?
He was in sales for IT consulting. He was selling consulting services, traveling around the country. He missed just a lot of our family life.
Got it.
In that career.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you first get introduced to Young Living? And so what we want to know here is, who was it that introduced you? Name is fine, but what's more important is, how did you know this person, or how did you meet this person? And what did they say to you that got your attention?
Sure. So I think my story might be a little bit unusual because the person that introduced me to Young Living was almost a stranger to me. And she did not pitch the business because, like I said, I wasn't looking for that.
Right.
I was on a health and wellness journey for my family that started with a diagnosis for one of my children that I was trying to tackle. And I was looking for a better way. I had purged my home of many things, chemicals. I stopped the couponing. I stopped the drugstore shopping. And I tried lots and lots of, different things in the natural health and wellness realm, but I hadn't tried essential oils yet. And so I actually met my sponsor, through a Facebook group that I was helping to run about health and wellness. And she became part of that Facebook group. And we discovered that we had a ton of mutual friends. So I had never met her, but we had mutual friends. And
so let's pause there because I know that most of you listening to this call or watching this live have heard that one of the best social media strategies is to join groups.
Absolutely agree.
Like
yes.
Find some groups that you have an affinity for, you have an interest for on social media, and go join those groups and participate in the conversation, what's going on, and then look for opportunities to connect where maybe you take it offline and message somebody and get to know them better, find out what their life's about, what's going on with their life. And through that process, there'll be an opportunity for her to introduce you to her product. So how did she do that? What did she say to you or chat to you?
So I actually approached her. She was part of my group and she was contributing, right? She was answering questions. She was engaging in our community. It still exists. It's a very safe place to talk about, hard issues, health and wellness. And so she started answering questions about how she was using these products in her own life. And that piqued my interest because essential oils, as you know, that's what Young Living offers, was not an area that I had explored yet. And so she started answering these questions and I was very curious. I was excited. I'm like, I need to learn more about this topic. This is something that speaks to me. It was right in line with, where my passions and where my values were going. And so I actually messaged her and I said, hey, how can I get some of these products?
So that worked for her to be participating in the Facebook group.
Definitely.
Like reaching out, contributing. That's what got your attention. Okay, so she obviously told you all about the products.
She told me a few details here and there, and I did a little bit of my own research as well. It's just how I am.
Okay, and so did that have you sign up as a member?
No, not right away. I was honestly very skeptical about the fact that Young Living was a network marketing company.
Oh, so you didn't like network marketing?
I did not. I really was quite ignorant. I didn't know much about it.
Kind of like some of the people on Super MLM.
Yes.
Okay, and so what did you say to her about network marketing? Like, what were your objections?
I didn't even ask that question. I just wanted the product. And so I literally messaged her and said, I want some of these oils. Can I use your discount? And so she was not building the business at the time. And she ordered some oils for me on her account and got them to me through mutual friends.
Wow.
So long story short, I did end up later attending a class at her home. That was the first time I met her.
How long?
That was about 3 weeks after I finally had those products in my hand.
Okay.
And I loved them.
Okay.
So she invited me to her home for a class. And I showed up that night, never met her before, complete stranger, walked into her living room. And that class was taught by my upline.
Okay, good.
Whom you interviewed.
Who's that?
April Pointer.
Oh, okay, yes. Right, okay.
And then also Danette Goodyear.
Okay.
So they taught that class.
So did they introduce you to the income opportunity?
Yes, not right away.
And
right away.
Do you remember what anybody said?
I do.
What did they say?
Yeah. It was a little bit later in the process.
Okay.
I mean, I had fallen head over heels with the product. That had to happen for me first. And I had hosted a class of my own a couple of months later that April and Danette came and taught.
Okay.
And I simply, I enrolled all those people at my class that night. We call it the magic class.
Okay.
It's kind of legendary. And it was a couple days later that April called me. And I didn't really know April at all. I mean, we had just met a couple of times and she called me and I thought, this is kind of nice to get a phone call. And she said, you know, you've just enrolled like 27 people in the last, at that point, it had been a couple months.
And were these all people that you were just enrolling to use the products?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
She said, you know, you could do this. Would you want to do this as a business? And
So
she asked the question.
Okay, April, we're going to have you write a book about this line, because this is a magical line.
It was.
So you start by telling somebody, you can do this, and then your power close is, would you want to do this as a business? April, we need to package that. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what you say. I mean, there's some bad things that you could say, and obviously there's better things to say than, you know, other things that you might say. But if April can get Alyssa interested in the business with the line, you can do this, would you want to do this as a business? Which I can't think of in the category of, okay, that's not really negative, it's not really a horrible approach, but in the category of somewhere between neutral and acceptable, that's about the lamest thing you could say to someone, and it works. So to the point of, you know, we struggle so much with, oh, I don't know what to say to people. It doesn't matter what you say to people. As long as you're excited and as long as you're confident and as long as you're happy, and, you know, you can say things, you can ask questions, and if they're the right people at the right time, you're going to get a positive response. So another point I want to make about this, what I call the gestation period. So question for you, from the time you enrolled to the time you understood there was an income opportunity, and for you to take advantage of it, you needed to recruit people into the income opportunity as well as getting customers. How many months passed from the time you enrolled to the time that you got it? Okay, I need to like build a business.
I think I got it in stages. Okay. I didn't get it all at once.
Okay, but by the time you got, okay, I need to start recruiting.
Yes.
Not customers. I mean, yes, customers, but in addition to customers, I need to start recruiting people who will start recruiting. How many months passed?
Well, to be honest, I had 3 people right out the gate who wanted to do this business.
Okay, but you didn't, you told us you enrolled 27 people, just customers.
Just customers.
So.
But they turned around very quickly and told me, I want to host a class.
All right, so your customers told you you need to start recruiting.
Basically, it was the people under me that made this really easy. I have amazing people.
But then you said April came and she's the one who introduced you to the income opportunity.
Correct.
So how many months passed before April came?
From the time I enrolled to that conversation with April was about 2.5 months.
Okay, so whatever that period is. So in Alyssa's case, it's at least 2.5 months, and there you had some things percolating before that. But sounds like April was the one that said, hey, Alyssa, this is a real deal. You need to start recruiting people into the real deal part of the income opportunity, 2.5 months. Now, here's the point I want to make about that in the gestation period. Most people approach their prospects product first, which is fine. That's natural. It's the easiest way to connect people with what you're doing, perfectly appropriate, and all that good stuff. And the biggest mistake that people make around recruiting is they don't pay attention to the gestation period. Gestation period is how long does it take for somebody to go from being a customer, like a raving fan of the product, to understanding the potential of the income opportunity and what they need to do to take advantage of it. Like the enrollment into the income opportunity presentation, that gestation period in some companies, in some organizations, in some cultures is months. I've met people in your company where it's years.
Yes,
like,
I've seen this as well.
How long have you been in the business? 7 years. When did you start building? 2 years ago. So that's a 5-year gestation period. But here's the point I want to make about the gestation period for you to think about as you're leading and managing people along that process that Alyssa spoke to. So however many months it takes you to go from customer to business builder, where When you start as a business builder, that's when your geometric progressions start building. When you start recruiting people into the income opportunity and they start recruiting people into the income opportunity, that's when your 4-year career starts. That's when your geometric progression start. That's when, if you will, your penny starts doubling every day. So here's the point I want you to understand about this gestation period. If it takes 2 months for you to start building a business, you have lost 2 months of income. Now, most people, when they hear that, they think, well, that's no big deal because in the first 2 months, I'm not really making any money. But here's what I want you to consider. You actually lose 2 months of the highest income you'll ever earn.
Really?
You will. So you've been in 5.5 years.
Correct.
But you've only been building for 5 years, 3 months.
Yes.
Or 4 months.
Correct.
You can never get those first 2 months back.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So it's not the first 2 months income that you lose, it's your current income. So let's say you never earn any more than you're earning now. You earn a lot of money now, don't you?
I do.
I mean, like, wow amounts of money. And so you can never get those 2 months back. It takes your highest month's income and it always reels it back 2 months.
Okay.
It's a floating time frame. You can never get it back.
Never.
So those 2 months cost you, I'm going to say, a couple $100,000.
Ouch.
And knowing how important money is to you. So, you know, here's a question you can ask somebody when they say, you know, yeah, blah, 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 wonderful, nicey, but, you know, I'm going to wait until next month until, you know, I get my cat groomed and then I'll be all ready to focus and I can build a business. And so, you know, what can you say about that? Well, what I would tell somebody is, no problem. I understand the cat priority. That's cool. I support. It's all about you, whatever you want to do. And so I'm just here to support you whenever you're ready to start. And if that 1 month's delay was going to cost you $10,000, would you want to know about it? That's what I'd ask somebody.
Yes.
And they go, yeah, could be 10 grand, could be more. I can explain it to you in about 10 minutes if you'd like to see it. And then you just show them geometric progressions, penny a day, however you want to show them. Okay, back to you.
Okay.
And your build. So tell us about the first 90 days after the April phone call. So now you're, okay. So she said, do you want to build it as a business? And you said, well, maybe, or yes, or.
Well, keep in mind, I already had about 27 people under me.
Yes.
Just from, hey, a friend here and there, from the Facebook group, the class that I hosted. And I do remember saying to her, my response was very weak.
What was it?
Oh yeah, I could give this a try. I'm pretty busy right now. I mean,
I love that.
Just pathetic.
Yes. And what did she say?
She's like, well, I'll help you.
Oh.
And I want to point something out. April's not my direct upline.
Right.
She's not my sponsor. I'm grateful for my sponsor. She introduced me to the company. But I'm on April's 4th level. And so she was digging deep.
Sweet.
And
Smart.
looking for the talent and the passion. And she saw it in me.
Yep.
And she pulled it out of me.
So how soon after that did the two of you meet?
You know, we don't live very close to one another. We live in the same general vicinity.
Both live in Dallas, Texas area.
Yeah. Hey, have you seen the traffic in
I
Dallas?
have.
So we did a lot of phone calls, texting, Facebook messaging.
How did she show you the income opportunity?
How did she show me the income opportunity? You know, at that point, I kind of sought out a lot of information myself.
Okay.
Started kind of digging around on YouTube. I remember many nights my husband would be out of town. I'd have the kids in bed, and I would just get on YouTube.
Good.
And just
Smart.
learn. I was a sponge. I wanted to learn all I could about it.
Type A personality.
Yeah.
Go get her.
But I will admit, it was still just fun for me.
Yeah.
It was a fun hobby. I treated it like a game.
Okay.
For many months.
for many months. So let's, those of you that follow the Hero Calls know that I'm a big stat tracker, huge believer in people keeping their statistics. It's kind of like Moneyball. If you ever watched the movie Moneyball, that Moneyball transformed the professional baseball when somebody introduced the idea of, instead of just, looking for talent and good looking guys and athletes, let's actually study their stats and let's recruit people based on their stats, not their TV personality or how they look or stuff like that. And so the stats that are really important in network marketing are the number of people that you actually invite to take a look at your opportunity, and then how many presentations you end up doing as a result of that invite. So an invite in our definition here is not introducing somebody to the products. I mean, that's a step in the right direction, but an invite is not an invite until you ask them to look at the income opportunity. Kind of like what April did would be the invite. And then the presentation you kind of did on your own, which is fine, however it happens. So maybe you meet somebody in Starbucks, maybe you do a Zoom, maybe they go watch a video on their own. However, they go through a presentation. The end of the presentation, they have an opportunity to enroll in not just the business. All companies are set up different. Some cases you might just enroll as a member, some cases a customer, some cases a distributor. But the enrollment that counts is when people sign up or do whatever they need to do to declare, okay, I'm now a business builder. I'm now going to pursue my own four-year career. So there's invite, there's presentation, there's enrollment. And then after there's an enrollment, there's leadership. Like how many of the people that I enrolled ended up being leaders. So what I want to do is dive into some of Alyssa's statistics so you can see what she did to build such a huge business. So in the first year, how many people did you personally enroll? And include, like if you put them somewhere,
Sure.
include them.
About 40 in my first year.
Which those of you that follow the four-year career training, Bliss Business, and the Hero Calls, what we tell people is in your first 2 years, you got to personally enroll somewhere between 80 and 100 people. The pace you got to be on is 3 or 4 people a month. Doesn't necessarily have to be for 2 years, but it has to be until things explode.
Right.
Until, and it could happen in 6 months, could happen in 9 months, could happen in 18 months. Somewhere in those 40 people, those 50 people, those 60 people, those 80 people that you personally enroll, all of a sudden things just take off and you can't keep up.
That's what happened.
And when you can't keep up, then you can back off somewhat of your personal enrollments. So 40 people the first year, how many people the second year?
About another 40.
Your textbook.
Yep.
She's the poster child.
I didn't know though.
No, you didn't.
Now I know.
Now you know. So, ignorance on fire is far more than a PhD, far more valuable than a PhD in network marketing. So third year, how many people did you personally enroll?
Probably another 20 or so.
Okay. And fourth year, how many people did you enroll?
Right now I average 1 to 2 per month.
Okay, you're in your 6th year.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's been pretty consistent.
Okay.
For the last
So you
couple
went
years.
like 40, 40, 20, 20,
Yeah.
20, like that. You probably couldn't enroll less than 20 if you tried, because it's just habit.
It just happens.
Right.
Yes.
So what did that, in terms of the 4-year career, so if you track the numbers in the 4-year career, it goes 4, 16, 64, 256, 1,024, 4,096, 16,340 or something like that. Those are the generations of the 4-year career that are used to demonstrate compounding or geometric progressions in network marketing. So at the 4-year mark, and if you know earlier,
I do.
okay, good. So at the end of your first year, you sponsored 40. At the end of your first year, you can say rank. I'll kind of tell them, or you can actually tell them, how
Okay.
much money were you earning by the end of your first year, and how many people did you have on your team?
Sure. I like to track it through December. So I consider the start of my business to be in April 2012 that I hosted that first class.
Got it?
I ended 2012 with about 200 people on my team.
Okay, that's really good. So pay attention to that, like sketch that out. Personally enrolled 40 people, but only had 200. 200 is awesome.
Sure.
So what was the rank there, do you think?
In December, executive, so.
Yeah, so you were making like
$800 a month.
Yeah, right. So as you all know, one of the big distinctions in network marketing is, people work really hard. They recruit a lot of people. They go to a lot of classes. They're on a lot of conference calls, a lot of Zooms. They might go to a lot of meetings. They might end up spending a fair amount of money, and they look at everything 8 months, 12 months later and go, wow, I could make this amount of money working at Walmart. Why have I turned my life inside out, upside down for $800 a month? And people that ask that question obviously don't understand the business that they're in. They still think they're in a linear income opportunity, in which case they're getting way underpaid for the effort they're putting in. But that's year one. So year two, you personally sponsored another 40 people. What did your business look like at the end of year two?
It exploded.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. What does that look like?
So started 2013 with about those 200 people. I want to back up a little bit though. My husband was unexpectedly laid off on December 21st, 2012.
Wow.
So 40s before Christmas, did not see that coming. He had a very well-established career for about 6 years with the same company, and they underwent a merger, and he was let go. So that day is when I drew a line in the sand and I said, okay, this isn't going to be a fun hobby anymore. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be all in. It was that day.
Wow.
So from 2012, went from 200 people at the beginning of the year to 4,000 people at the end of the year.
So 200% growth? 20 times, 2,000% growth.
Yes. And then the following year was even bigger.
So, the point we want to focus on is not like, we'll touch on how big it is now, but the most important thing is 200 to 4,000 because 200 to 4,000 encapsulates 99% of what all of you, I'm not saying you wouldn't want to earn more money than that, but if all you ever earned or all you ever built was a team of 4,000 people in your network marketing company, whichever company it is, 99% of you would be happy as happy could be forever, because that would earn you, 20 grand a month or something.
20 to 30 grand a month, yes.
Yeah, so in any company, in any comp plan. So what did you do, Alyssa? So she said something that's like so important, so pivotal, philosophically one of the benchmarks of every great successful person in network marketing. She said something that she did on December 21st, after she'd been in the business 8 or 9 months. And that thing that you did where you talked about being all in. So walk people through, okay, you had an event that triggered that, but walk people through, like, what was the conversation in your head about going from, this is fun, I'm goofing around with it, I'm working hard, but this is mad money, to, okay, I'm going to crush this. What was that conversation? What did that sound like?
For me, it was this huge shift in my belief about the 40-year career, which was what my husband was in. And, even though he obtained another job fairly quickly, I lost all faith in being an employee, basically.
Yeah.
I thought, if this company that's been so good to us for all these years can just let him go 40s before Christmas, we cannot count on this forever, no matter what company he's with. And so it was then that I'm like, okay, my business could be our plan B in case this ever happened again.
Right.
I still wasn't like, oh, this could replace our income and be a full-time career, but it was like, this is going to be our safety net. This will protect us, keep me secure in case this ever happens again. And I just didn't have any faith in his future employers after that.
Yeah, if you think about it, folks, if you're an employee, and I'm all for people having a job and keeping whatever job you have, but obviously one of the great things about network marketing is it is a beautiful plan B, because here's the dynamic of being an employee. Your security has nothing to do with your career. It really doesn't have anything to do with the success of the company. It has to do with how relevant, how important, how critical are you as an employee to the current operations of the company? And do you fit in the scheme of what the company is going to do moving forward? So if your company downsizes, or it gets acquired by somebody, or it gets a new CEO or a new vice president, or, I mean, there's a million things that can change, where all of a sudden you as a human being, you have somebody that maybe has been there 20 or 30 years, you don't matter anymore in the scheme of things. And, it's kind of like people are, can kind of relate to sports. It's kind of like sports, you can be a star player on a team for years. But if you have a new coach come in, or you have a bad 4 or 5 games in a row, or you get injured, you're out, right? And that's why so many of us, embrace the beauty of network marketing, because even though it takes some significant effort and motivation to get that ball rolling, to get that first 200 people and turn 200 people into 4,000 people, it's worth it.
So worth it. And it was a lot of work.
Well, for sure, it is. But most people are not afraid of work. It's not work that separates the people that make it from the people that don't. It's the people that believe, the people that see it, the people that they see the possibility, and their story is, I can do this. When you have that kind of story, then you do believe it's worth it, and you just do the work. All of us have worked really hard at different parts of our lives. Why? We either had to or we wanted to. We're all capable of that. And so that is the distinction you got to figure out with your team. Maybe it's for you. Maybe you're motivated, maybe you're not, but that's the difference maker. People that are motivated, they get it done. People that aren't motivated, they go to training after training, program after program, book after book, event after event, Zoom after Zoom, and they don't get it done, even though they have a PhD in network marketing, because they're not motivated.
I see that. I do.
Tell us about, in your 5.5 years, now that you're a veteran. Hello? Thank you.
Welcome.
Kimmy wants to know why we took her phone call away from her. So 5.5 years, you're a veteran now. Tell us, what is the biggest mistake that you made in 5.5 years? And it could be a mistake in building strategy.
Okay.
So that cost you money. Or it could be a mistake in health, could be a mistake in relationships, could be a mistake in integrity. In some form of your life, it cost you. In your Young Living business, in that 5.5 years, what's the biggest mistake you've made?
Well, Richard, I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but the biggest one is really easy for me to share. A few years ago, the FDA stepped in, and we were forced to make some changes in the way we were doing things in our business in Young Living. And I did not handle that very well at all for my team. It was uncharted territory. I was scared, knee-jerk reaction. I shut down a Facebook group with 25,000 people in it just overnight. And that was a massive mistake. I saw many, many people walk away from the business, and I saw my sales volume over the next 8-9 months just plummet. That cost me a lot of money. I didn't know how to handle it. It was scary. It was new. It was unknown. We've bounced back since then, but that was a very costly mistake on my part.
And what was the source of the mistake? Like, you're familiar with this question, so I can ask it this way. Who were you being that reacted that way?
Who was I being? You want me to use the term?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I was being a petulant child.
Well, I didn't know you were going to use that term.
Well,
That's a technical term.
yeah.
So you were being childish.
I was. It was lack of personal development, which I didn't do much of until much later in my career. It was a mistake.
Yes. So just something to think about, whether you have a big business or you're looking to build a big business, that angry, resentful, reactive, childish statements or decisions or moves always cost you. And what that speaks to is your leadership. So leaders don't respond that way. Leaders don't react that way. They actually don't react. They respond. They think, okay, what is the move that's going to move things forward? And childish behavior is more like, what's the move that's going to make me right and everyone else wrong and punish everyone around me? That's what children do when they're miffed. So the biggest mistake you made, if I could say it a different way, was perhaps your business outgrew your personal development.
Oh, definitely. It grew so quickly. It grew faster than I could grow as a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm making up for last time.
Yes, you are. So what's the smartest thing you've ever done?
The smartest thing I've ever done, I would say, the culture in my team.
Tell us about that. Culture is so big.
Yes.
Tell us specifically about it.
So first of all, I didn't really understand what was happening at the time, but I created a culture of collaboration and a culture where people come into my team and they feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves, that they're part of a community. And I did that really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's served my team well today. I see it duplicating. There's celebration when anyone ranks up.
Okay, tell us about that. So I want you to be as specific as you can be, because people talk about culture all the time, but it's kind of like, you know, gurus telling us what you need to have is confidence. Oh, yeah. Gee, thank you for that.
You want specifics?
I want to know how to get confidence, not to know that I need confidence. Culture is really important. How did you actually create it? Like, what are the specific things that you put in place? And putting them in place, like, how do you put them in place such that people carry it forward and duplicate?
Sure. I think it starts with boundaries. So within my groups, we have rules. There's no negativity. There's just not. There's no complaining. That's just not allowed. It doesn't happen.
So if I have a complaint, what do I do with it?
You take it privately, either to the company or to your upline.
Okay. So there's no public complaining.
Correct.
Got it.
I think that's absolutely vital.
Beautiful.
Yes. We have rules where you don't get to come into our groups and sell whatever you're selling.
Tell us about that. Like selling what?
Oh, accessories for this or programs for this. I'll allow some things on a case-by-case basis, but, that's my community. I protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want people taking advantage of my people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very important. Celebration. We welcome new members into the group.
So how do you do that?
Well, now Facebook has this amazing feature where when you've added a certain number of people to the group, Facebook lets you create a welcome message and it tags every single one of them. And then you can show them there's a pinned post. Everybody uses pinned posts in their groups to show them where here's all the resources that you need. Other things I did was I still do this. I'm very generous with my team. I give them as many resources as I possibly can. My goal, because it was not easy for me starting out. We didn't have a lot of resources or training 5-6 years ago. It just didn't exist. So my goal was I want to make this business as ridiculously easy as possible for my people so that when they come into my team, they can find everything they need at their fingertips.
Beautiful.
I do that through generosity. It's providing what they need.
Okay. And what else? Besides, what else do you do to get people to drive that culture forward? Any specific strategies? Like if I have, let's say I want to do recognition, I want to have training, I want to make sure that my group is not polluted with people selling all of their junk for their own personal gain, which is really important to keep clean in your team. Let's say you had a group of 8 or 10 leaders and you're talking to them about, hey, let's drive the culture forward. What would you say to them to inspire and motivate them to like take what you've done and push it forward into their teams?
Well, my core leaders, we have private Facebook chats where we communicate often and ask each other for help and brainstorm. And if we need to turn the tide in a group, I can very quickly communicate with them and say, hey, let's, I need some comments over here. I need some backup over here. Help me celebrate these rank ups. It's just very easy to communicate quickly those needs, and that duplicates all the way down every time.
So let me ask you this. So this is a question about street cred.
Street cred.
Or another way to say it is political capital.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this.
I know you don't. So let's say you got 8 or 10 leaders, your top leaders on your team, and you need them to do something to execute your vision. How do you get them to want to execute something for your vision? And I don't mean this time, not in this question. What do you say to them in that moment? But who have you been for them historically, that when you ask for something, how they hear it is from respect, admiration, gratitude. Yes, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Who have you been for people that created that political capital?
Sure. I just think it starts with integrity. In relationships. And
what do you mean by that?
People know that I guess when I started my business, it was not all about making money.
Right.
It just wasn't. And people knew that my intentions were pure. And I wanted health and wellness for my people. And that has continued today. And now people see me as, I think they're inspired when they see what I've been able to do. They can look at me and say, I want that too. I want that for my people. And I want that for my people. I do. I want them to create their own visions. And they have. I have a lot of amazing women on my team who've gone out and done the same thing.
So if I went and asked those 8 or 10 leaders, how would they describe Alyssa's leadership? You think they'd say servant leader?
I would hope so. I don't.
Let me ask you again. Do you think they'd say servant leader?
This is a hard question for me because
Yes
it's
or
not.
no?
I don't like making it all about me.
Yes or no? Would they call you a servant leader?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes. That's a hard question, Richard.
It is not a hard question. Might be a hard answer, but
Hard
easy
answer.
question.
Hard answer.
How else would they describe you? Consistent. So,
Consistent. I show up.
You show up.
I show up.
Walk
Yes.
your talk.
Yes.
So here's what I mean by political correct. This is all about leadership. Like, how do you get leaders to do what you need for them to do? Is the way you do it is that you've earned the right to ask them. And you earn the right to ask them in many different ways. Integrity is one of the ways. So if they see you say, this is who we are, this is the ground rules, this is what I stand for, but then what they experience is that you're not consistent with that. Like, if it's convenient, you'll abandon those values. If people experience that, then you don't have the street cred, you don't have the political capital. So that's all about leadership. How do you get leadership to duplicate what you're doing? Be consistent, be trustworthy, have integrity, create a track record of giving to them so often that when you ask them to step up and do something, that it's just an automatic response. So here's we'll fill in some of the gaps now in terms of the 5.5-year career. So the end of first year, 200 people. At the end of the third year, 4,000 people, which is end of the second year. End of the third year, how many people did you have?
40,000.
40,000. So it didn't grow as fast, actually.
No?
Nope, it only grew tenfold the third year, 20-fold the second year. And by the end of the fourth year?
About 80,000.
About 80,000.
Yeah.
So it doubled again by the end of the second year. And today, 5.5 years later, how many people on your team?
Today, 103.
103,000.
Yeah.
Do you know who the
Crazy.
3,000th person is?
Might have to look. I don't know.
They should get some sort of an award. 5.5 years in. So we don't talk about income on a Hero Call, but you know, you can just imagine that that's an astronomical income number. And you know, here's the beautiful thing about earning that kind of money in network marketing. Even at the 200, 2,000 people on your team level, most of that income is being earned for you by people who are just getting started, just getting the vision to create their own 4-year career. So that's where your security comes from. It comes from having bulletproof products, products that are people going to pay for, whatever you're charging. You know, the value proposition for products has to be, here's what the product does and here's what we're charging for it. And people will buy it every month over and over and over again based on that value proposition. You got to have that rock solid. Most network marketing companies actually don't. And then you've got to have enough people on your team so that you've got, you know, 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 people who have a clear vision about they're going to build their own 4-year career. And then when you have that, you have asset income. And asset income, as most of you know, is worth 200 times the monthly income. If you're making $1,000 a month in your network marketing business, that's worth at least $200,000 as an asset. That's what makes building a network marketing business worth it. It's not the $800 a month you earn after your first year, although for many people that's probably worth it. It's the $200,000 asset that you've created maybe after 2 or 3 years. So what would you tell people, Alyssa? You know, most people watching this live or listening to this Hero Call are in the state of wanting to be successful. They wouldn't be listening if they didn't want to be successful.
True, they're here.
They're willing to work, because even watching this, you know, is part of the work, part of the preparation. But they haven't dropped into that place where they are, let's say, inviting, promoting, introducing people, sharing, whatever you want to call it, with what I call reckless abandon. Like, this is awesome. This is going to work. It's not that everybody's going to want my products or everybody's going to want to do what I'm doing, but everybody deserves to know about it, because who knows who's going to want. Like getting into that place where that's more of your vision than, oh, what are people going to think about me? And am I going to be bothering people? And, oh, I don't want people to say no. Like, those are the two different conversations. Most people listening to this call are in the conversation of, I want it, but I'm afraid of what people are going to think. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of bothering people. And that's their dominant conversation. What would you say to those people? Like, give them your 2-minute hard-hitting inspirational speech.
Okay, I need a drink.
Have a drink. Through a metal straw.
Of course. All right, so those people, I think the biggest thing holding them back is that they are just overthinking all of it.
Oh, tell us about that. I like overthinking.
Well, like you said, the people that are the perpetual students of network marketing, they're just thinking about this constantly instead of just getting out there and doing it. And one of my favorite quotes is by Marie Forleo. And she says, and she tells this whole story about the background of this quote. She says, everything is figure-outable. And I love that quote. It speaks to my soul.
Yes.
Because that's how I've lived my life. Like, I'm just going to figure this out. I don't have the resources. I'm going to create them, or I'm going to find them. And when you sit there and you overthink this every day about wondering those questions, what are people going to think of me? Or what if people say no? They are going to say no, guys. That's just part of this process. Then you're not figuring things out. And so I would say to those people, fall in love with your product like I did. That was key for me. I had to. That was the percolating process. Get out there and live your lifestyle and set that example for people. And use attraction marketing. You don't have to chase down your friends. You don't have to be weird about it. You don't have to be salesy. You don't have to post graphics all over your timeline. Those things will probably actually get you a lot of no's. You just have to inspire people and just live that lifestyle out loud. Show people the real you. Share your stories on social media. Share photos of yourself. I don't think people do that enough. Of their life. Inspire people to want what you have. And that's how you attract people to you. But attending event after event and reading book after book, those are valuable, but that's not going to build your empire. It just won't. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, you have to get to that place where you realize, like, this is just a cold hard fact. It's not required to build a consumer customer business, or maybe you have 10 or 20 or 30 customers, which might earn you $500 or $1,000 a month. It might. But if you're going to build an asset income, if you're going to build a 4-year career, you have to come to grips with you're a professional recruiter. That's what you do for a living. You recruit people through your products and through your opportunity to embrace the asset income opportunity that network marketing provides. That's what you do for a living, for a life, on a part-time basis. And if you're a professional recruiter, then you better be professionally recruiting. Part of that is to have people like Alyssa asked her sponsor, hey, tell me about those products. Part of it is to live your life in a way that people say, well, what is that? What are you using? How did you get that before and after picture? Or how did you create that story?
Get people curious about you.
Yes, and that's not like being secretive or coy, but it's certainly not by plastering your products and your opportunity all over your Instagram or your Facebook page. It's by plastering your life.
Yes.
And not by plastering your food or, watching TV. It's like, get out, have some fun, connect with some people, learn something new, do something you've never done before, create some interest and some adventure and some excitement in your life, and then share it with people. And that gets people like looking at like, hey, what's going on with her?
Absolutely.
And, so many products you can do before and afters, like, be such an evangelist for your product that people ask, well, what are you doing? And, that's one of the easiest ways in the world to just connect people with the upside of what's going on. So, shameless plug, how have you used the 4-year career?
Oh, goodness. So I read the 4-year career for the first time when I was already halfway through the ranks of my company.
Yes.
And that was the first time I actually understood geometric progression. And I read it and I had this aha moment. I'm like, well, that's what's happening for me. Oh my gosh. And then I started ordering that book in bulk and handing it out like candy. Just people showed up at my meetings and they were interested in the business at all. I gave it to them because I wanted them to understand our business model because I didn't understand it myself. And it was such a great tool. It was so simple. And I'm like, this answers so many questions. So I started giving that out quite a bit.
And you didn't even have the women's version for
no,
most of that time.
Didn't exist at that time. And now I get to be part of the 4-year career myself.
Yes.
My story's in it, which is a huge honor. And I'm so grateful. It's kind of surreal, honestly, because that book had a huge impact on me and on my husband. And now Kimmy's, my awesome upline, is in this one now.
Yep. 4-year career for women.
Yes. Shameless plug.
That's all right.
Love it. Love it.
And you're also a Bliss Transformational Retreat alumni.
Yes, I
Right
am.
on the other side of our lights and camera is the infamous white couch.
I've spent a lot of time on that couch that you guys can't see. Many hours.
What was that like for you?
Not what I expected.
Not what did you expect?
Gosh, what did I expect? I don't know. I was actually trying to have a really open mind about it. What was it like for me? It was probably the most present I've been to myself and to others in many years.
Okay. Keep going.
Let's see. Where do I go with this? It was some of the most important personal development that I've done in these almost 6 years. Because like I said, I did not do any until the top and kind of crashed and burned. for a while.
So if you were to give them a sneak peek into what was the transformation in you,
Okay.
how would you speak to that?
Well, there were several, but one of the biggest is my mindset about money was transformed.
Speak to that.
Well, I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here. Actually, I had a homework assignment when I left that retreat in October, which was to spend my money on things that bring me great joy and happiness, which is not easy. Wasn't easy.
Why not?
I think just old stories I told myself. I grew up raised by a single mom. We didn't have money, and there was this sense of I don't deserve all of this abundance that's come into my life, and I don't know what to do with it now, and there's all this pressure on what I do with all this money. And here I am on Lanai with my family, staying at the Four Seasons.
Whew. Stressful for you, isn't it?
A little bit.
How do you like those burger costs?
The burgers, $30.
How much is a pot of coffee for breakfast?
I don't drink coffee, but an iced tea is $7.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm back, and it's good. It's healthy. It's fun. Money is one of those things that people really struggle with their beliefs around, and that was a transformation for me. It was huge.
Just goes to show you how potent an opportunity we have even if you have limiting dysfunctional beliefs around money and worthiness. The fact that your income in network marketing is going to be created by hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of other people, and it's going to be created by people who may not have those same limiting beliefs. So you can have those dysfunctional beliefs and still make a fortune in network marketing.
Yeah, that was me.
But you may not enjoy it. And so if you are one of those people that is making money doing anything, or maybe you have the same conversation about love and affection in your life. What I tell people who are making in their mind more money than they think they deserve in their network marketing opportunity, what I invite them to do is give it back.
Nope. Sorry, I'm not giving it back.
So if you're not going to give it back, what does that really say about whether or not you deserve it? I say it says, you know what? You do have a conversation that acknowledges you deserve it. It's yours because you're going to keep it. And so that's just an important part of abundance mentality. And so is hanging out at the Four Seasons when you can afford it and embracing $30 hamburgers and $7 glasses.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
You guys have to come here. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
We're in paradise. All right. We're about out of time. So what I'm going to ask Alyssa, the last question I'm going to ask her is, okay, you're 5.5 years in. So let's say that I get a chance to interview you and it's, 3 or 4 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be doing 3 or 4 years from now? What's your life going to be like? What's your business going to look like?
Well, I'm going to have more peace, more joy, more contentment in my own life, surrounding my family. I'm going to spend my money on things that bring me joy and happiness, and also, spread it around, help others for sure. I see my business growing. I see the people in my business, my team, the people under me having amazing success in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I know that's a big part of your vision is what will that look like and what will that feel like for the 8 or 10 people that helped you get to where you are, for you to help them get to where you are now? What will that feel like? What will that be like?
Just so fulfilling. Absolutely. I mean, these are some of my dearest friends to me that have come alongside me on this journey. I'm so grateful for them. And I mean, they're having amazing success now, and I know that they want the same for their people and their people and their people. It's the best part of this business is helping others and seeing their success for sure.
Okay. And to wrap it up, sometimes we turn the tables and without any preparation, because I know you haven't prepped for this. If you were to ask me a question, what would it be?
Well, actually, I knew that question was coming.
Oh!
I've listened to a few hero calls in my day.
And you planned.
Yeah, kind of. All right. So my question for you, Richard, we've just come off an amazing fourth quarter, and everyone knows in our industry that that's like the biggest quarter of the year. And now they're looking at 2018, this blank slate, and I think people are kind of scared. Like, well, how do I keep this momentum going that we saw in the fourth quarter and bring it into 2018?
Well, you do that through, I sound like a broken record, I know, around motivation, but I just know in my heart, and from 41 years of being full-time in this profession, that motivation is everything. And so how you come off a high, how you come off a great year and have an even better year the next year, is to make sure your story, the story that is embedded in your belief and your psyche and your heart and your spirit and your mind, is a story of continued success. And so, like, a story that won't support you is, oh, we had a record year in 2017, we had a record fourth quarter. Oh, is that, how are we going to continue that in 2018?
Yeah, it paralyzes people.
That rhetorical question gets wiped out of the psyche. You don't ask any stupid questions like that, because that's basically a vision. We don't ask rhetorical questions unless we already fear we know the answer.
Okay.
Like, what if they aren't interested, or what if they say no? Those aren't real questions. Those are affirmations. Those are predictions. We don't ask the question unless we already fear we know the answer and we don't like the answer. So you don't have any of that kind of monkey business in 2018. And then, so you clean up, create a beautiful vision for 2018. And you know what? It doesn't have to be about, company setting records or any of that kind of stuff. Here's the magic way to keep growth going on your team. And you already have this in place. So instead of thinking about what you're going to do in 2018 personally, because in terms of personal goals, there's really not a lot of juice left in, what are you going to do that is going to impress anyone, or, set any more records, or hit any more ranks, or win any more contests. You're probably sick of going on contest places.
Yes.
So here's how you do it. And here's how you do it from the bottom ranks. If you're in the mini rank, if you're in the first or second or third rank, or you're in the medium rank, this is how you keep everything going, is you set all your goals for the coming year around people on your team, lifting them to their next level. It has nothing to do at all with what the company's doing. The company can actually be doing this, and you can be doing this, as long as your focus is on, not on you, but on your team. So if you're a director or some position, and that's $10,000 a month in volume, what do you want to do into the first quarter of 2018? You want to find out who on your team has the best shot of becoming a director, and go down and lock arms with them, create a vision for them, teach them about vision and self-motivation, teach them about being a professional recruiter, teach them about geometric progressions in the 4-year career, and lock arms and go build them to director. And this concept works at all levels. So you're a Royal Crown Diamond.
Yep,
how many Royal Crown Diamonds do you have on your team?
I have one right now.
Great. What do you do in 2018? Go get 3 more.
Absolutely.
That's what you do. That's how you make 2018 an extraordinary year. And the beautiful thing about it, this is so important. It doesn't matter what the company's doing. That never matters. Doesn't matter what the company's doing. All that matters is what you're doing. What is your team doing? That's all that matters. You want to set records? Grow your business every year. That's the only record you need to set. And how do you grow your business every year? Find people on your team that are ready, that are committed, that have the horsepower, they have the motivation, they have the right story to take their business to the next level and do like April did with you. Lock
Simple.
arms, partner with them, make them your running buddy, and go make it happen. And you'll have an extraordinary 2018. And guess how you have companies be successful? You have enough people in the field that are doing that, and hello, the company's doing just fine.
Yes, I love it.
Alyssa Francis, you are a gift to the network marketing profession. I'm going to interview you in 3 or 4 years and find out what a beautiful, abundant life you've had, where you have roamed the world looking to up your game. Like, I'm expecting you to tell me a story about a $70 cheeseburger.
Oh boy.
Do you even eat cheeseburgers?
Oh yes.
Okay.
He just challenged me, you guys.
Bora Bora.
I'm always up for a challenge. Bora Bora.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get a $70 cheeseburger.
I'll put it on the list, Richard.
Hey, thank all of you for joining
Thank
us
you.
live
Thank you
here
so
at
much,
Bliss
everybody.
Business, and yet another hero call.
Happy New Year.
Signing off. Over and out. I don't know how to turn it off. Do you know how to turn it off?
Nope. Oh, I turned off the video, but I don't know how to end it. You're still on. You guys keep chatting.
Oh,
Like
we
on the
keep chat-
meeting there. Okay.
keep chatting?
Keep chatting.
All right.
I think you got to get on the golf course, Richard.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold
Cha-cha.
it while you're
Cha-cha.
still online. I turned off the camera.
Oh.
Yeah, but Facebook Live is down.
Nice job, Alyssa. That wasn't painful, was it? What?
Kind of was.
Oh. Still on.
They still hear you.
Still on. Well, I'm going to play golf if I'm still on.